The following is a special presentation of the Minty Organization for the Performing Arts.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Front Row Conversations. You know, for the first few weeks, we focused on those stars on the stage that have gone on to careers in the arts. Today, we focus on someone that has spent the entirety of their theatrical career backstage and off the stage and doing it with extreme excellence. From Villa Girl to Mean Girls, I am proud to welcome the 2013 Theater Player of the Year for St. John Villa and a very dear friend to the Minties and the Staten Island theater community. Tor Rametta joins us this evening. Tor, thank you so much for being part of this.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Pinto.
We could cut the formalities out right at the beginning.
Okay.
Now, so as I said, you've backstage your entire career. So this is new for you, having the spotlight be on you for a little bit.
Well, don't forget, I was in the 2012 production of Les Mis at St. Peter's.
Oh, okay. All right. So then let's go back to that. Let's go back to your high school career. And like I said, graduate of St. John Villa. So what shows do you have under your resume from Villa and I guess Peters as well?
Well, I managed to become friends with all the drama kids without being involved in drama at all. And sophomore year in the spring was my first intro when a couple of the stage crew members of The Wiz had a Sweet 16 to go to, and they couldn't make one of the performances. So everyone was desperate and was like, Tor, you're already an honorary drama member. Can you please just help out backstage? Everyone will tell you what to do. We just need you. We need hands. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. And then that was it for the rest of my life, I guess.
I was going to say, that's fantastic. I did not know that story. I do remember when there was that Sweet 16 with the cast, but your career, you were thrust into it without ever really wanting to be a part of that. So
absolutely, yeah. So then I was backstage for The Wiz, and then after that, I did every show at Villa, which were Into the Woods, The Boyfriend, The Apple Tree, and then 42nd Street was my senior show. And then, like I said, I did Les Mis at Peters, which I was in, and that was the only show I was ever in, and I kept it that way.
Hey, it won the Minty, so you must have done something right in it.
That's true. It did win the Minty, and I was also a part of the crew for Drowsy Chaperone at Farrell my senior year.
Oh, well, so you got around then.
I did.
On and off the stage. So going back, so The Wiz, what do you remember? What were your responsibilities and what were your thoughts dealing with that for the first time?
You know, I don't remember too many of the responsibilities because it was only one night. I do remember that I got to pull the bright green curtain across the stage. And that was very exciting for me because I had to walk on the stage to do so. And it was like in a blackout or something, but I ran the thing across the stage. And also there was like a house or something that spun around when we did it. There was like an actual house that was on a line that someone was pulling, and I remember we had to clip it onto something real quick so that it didn't hit someone in the head. That's what it's like backstage at Villa, I guess.
Well, you didn't have a lot of space to work with backstage, but you certainly, I think every show had a house or some elaborate scenery or set that you guys were doing there. So how did you get on stage then at Peters? And I'm assuming you were in the ensemble?
I was in the ensemble. I was a beggar. I was a lovely lady. And at that, I adamantly refused to dance when I was a lovely lady. So I was off to the side. But I simply was in it peer pressure. Peer pressure was the reason that I was in that. I actually told my friends at the time that if they knew my cell phone number by heart, that they can write onto the audition sheet, because I had just gone to the auditions because it was all my friends. And I was like, if you know my cell phone number by heart, then I'll be in the show. And they did somehow. So.
Like they were good friends then, I guess.
Yeah. Then I was in that one.
And then senior year, like you said, 42nd Street and Drowsy Chaperone, two of the big winners from that year's Minchi Awards. So we'll start with Drowsy. What do you remember being part of that process, and how involved were you with Backstage?
I came in during tech for that one, and the paint was still drying on opening night. I remember that very vividly. I remember.
I think that's a classic Farrell tradition, though.
Well, yeah. So I've heard. There was like a crazy Murphy bed too. I remember that. That was a fun show to be backstage for and just like witness. And like at the time, like obviously I've been best friends with Gab Manzella for forever, and she was backstage with me, and so it was just shenanigans. And I remember Jess Menino was like very big on pacing. She was just walking back and forth the whole show, pacing.
Well, I guess an easy show set-wise, you have one set that everything sort of comes out of, and then just pieces move on and off. So,
yes.
So not a bad show to be a part of.
No, that one was fairly simple, if I remember. I remember show off was the most crazy part of the show, and that was just simply like people moving and making sure that everyone like spaces were clear so that people can get in and out in time, because it was show off.
So that was, I believe, probably the end of March, and then a few weeks later you have at Villa 42nd Street, and we had Nick Buckholtz on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about transferring that show from the Villa gym onto the St. George stage. So talk to us about your memories from the show at Villa first.
Well, 42nd Street at Villa was the most like high tech of the shows that I did at Villa, and that was because we had dual cameras. One was a backstage cam and one was a bird's eye cam. So the bird's eye camera was hung directly overhead, and we were able to project above the stage a video, like a live video of all of the choreography, and you could see the dancing formations and everything like that. So that was like a really like high tech cool thing that we did. And then there's a lot of backstage scenes in 42nd Street. And our way of doing that, which would typically in a Broadway setting be a scrim, obviously we didn't have that. So we actually closed the main curtain, and I live recorded the scenes from backstage and was walking around with a camera and taking video of what was happening in the scene. And that was projected live to the audience while it was happening. And I thought there was one part that was, I think it was Money, that was like really cool, where like you see all of the girls run past the camera on the projector as the curtain was opening, so you can see them, and then they were on stage like on the apron. So I always loved that, and I thought it was so like effective for a high school production,
especially given the limitations of what you have, making the best of it and being so creative in that respect. So now we get to the Minties, and I guess we do have footage of you somewhere on a Minty stage. You were in that Les Mis performance at the Minties?
Yes, I think it was pretty close to the front of the triangle for One Day More, so I don't think it will be that hard to find 16-year-old me marching.
But you were Villa's Theater Player of the Year in 2013, rightfully so, for everything that you did backstage for them in terms of show and morale. But your favorite Minty memory, dealing of course with 42nd Street, being?
Oh, well, since we had a traveler track in that Villa, as all high schools do, but the traditional 42nd Street opening is that the curtain rises just a couple feet so that you only see the actors' feet while they're tapping, and we were able to do that at the St. George, and that was my all-time favorite part. I was not even on the stage, I was watching, but it was just so fun, and I was like so excited for my friends that they got to do that. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite part minty life.
So let's take a look back at the 2013 Minchi Awards and that opening number of 42nd Street. Enjoy. You know, I've said it, we've shown a number of clips from that year's ceremony, and each time I say that was one of my favorite Minty ceremonies of all time, just because of the sheer talent and the excitement that was in all those numbers, as you saw with that 42nd Street opening. So again, congratulations to you being a part of that production. So now you graduate, you're done, and you're looking for something to do that summer. And there's a little theater company on the island that's doing a production of Les Mis that you may have known one or two of the folks involved in. So how do you get involved and to what extent do you get involved?
So at Villa at the time, Tanya, I'm assuming everyone who's watching this knows Tanya. Tanya was our director and at Villa, and I was graduating and I had gotten into Purchase College's conservatory for theater design and technology. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a stage manager. I need something on my resume. More than Villa, more than, you know, high school theater. I want something. So I went to Tanya and I asked her if I can be a part of her theater company and come in as an assistant stage manager, so I can learn from whoever is the stage manager and figure out the ropes of stage management. And Tanya was like, absolutely, yes, of course, like without a doubt, you can do that. And then a couple of days later, she called me and she was like, well, Tor, you're going to be the stage manager. And well, I did it. And then, you know, I was 17 and stage managed my first show professionally. And I think it was a success.
I would think so. Down in the pit, it certainly seemed like a success.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, just at that young age to have that much responsibility and to have a cast, that was probably our largest cast that we.
Yeah, there was like
also
50 people in that show.
And to have, you know, the respect of the cast, you know, someone who's much younger than most of the cast to give directions to and to be working with goes to show a testament to your professionalism and how you handle things. And we got a chance to work together a few summers later doing Anything Goes, my first directorial gig at the helm, and you were absolutely fantastic with that.
Yeah, thank you.
A lot. So always knew you'd be destined for greatness. So why don't you tell us, you went to SUNY Purchase as part of their conservatory. What were you involved in college? And then what have you been doing since?
Yeah, so I was in the Conservatory of Theater Arts at SUNY Purchase College. I got a BFA in, ready for this, theater design and technology with a concentration in stage management. That's my full degree. It's
How
very,
long did it take you to remember what you actually got?
that was very quick, but it's a mouthful for sure. So I went to Purchase. It is it spews out people who work in the industry. You can't throw a stone on Broadway or off Broadway. Even currently, the person I'm working on this show with went to Purchase, and he's 15 years older than I am. So you can't throw a stone without finding someone from Purchase somewhere. It's a bit frat-like there, but but so when I was in college, it just was crazy hours. It really got you to understand what working in theater full-time is, which is a lot. It's a lot. The hours are absolutely insane. You are working, 80 hours a week, and Purchase was very in tune with trying to help you to understand that. So you work long hours when you're there, but all of it, for the better to help you understand. So when I was after Purchase, all the summers I did in the wing shows every summer during college, and I also was freelancing. I did some off-Broadway shows as like a production assistant here and there. I did some events as production assistant and some festivals too. And since then,
well, let me stop you right there before we get to that. I apologize. I guess just because of the distance, it's hard to be in Manhattan during the semester with everything going on in the campus. So what you were doing, just shows up there each semester for the most part?
So at Purchase we do 8 shows a year, but it's split among everyone in the conservatory. So you're assigned a show, and every year, so freshman year you just kind of do a little bit of like the crew work. So you do a rotation in carpentry, electrics, costumes, and paint. Okay. That's what it is. It was paint. So like you do a little bit of that, and then sophomore year is when you start to get, like, you actually declare your concentration. And in the Purchase Conservatory specifically, there is costumes, lighting, technical direction or production management, stage management, and scenic design. So once you've declared your major as one of those things, you get specialized classes that lead you down the road towards your end goal there. And sophomore year, junior year, senior year, you're assigned a show, and your role on the show gets more important as time goes on. So you're the second assistant stage manager sophomore year, the first assistant junior year, and then senior year, you're the production stage manager, like that. And while you're not working actively on a show, because again, there's only 8 a year, you are work as a stage manager specifically, you work in the prop shop when you're not stage manager. So I spent much time in the prop shop. So if you need any chairs upholstered, I'm your person. I'm actually very good at that.
I'll keep that in mind then, definitely. So I guess being a conservatory, you really do get all the training and experience that you would need while you were there. So
yeah, I took classes in costumes. I had to, like, costume construction classes. I had to make a bag as a final. I took props classes. I took technical drafting and drawing and AutoCAD on top of stage management, production management, lighting, design fundamentals, all of the theater classes that you can think of, I took.
It's just slightly more intense than St. John Villa Backstage.
Yeah, sure.
So after graduation, okay, so now what is your first gig?
My first gig after graduation was Anything Goes. But then immediately after that, I was freelancing. I did some events. I think I might have PA'd an off-Broadway show. And then come September, I was looking for something to do. I didn't have anything. So I found an internship. And I recognized the name of the company because it was a teacher of mine at Purchase's company that he had founded years ago, and is Aurora Productions. And so I started interning at Aurora, and Aurora is a production management company that works on and off Broadway. So I was an intern there, and I did my internship for 9 months there. Most of my internship was doing Broadway loadouts for the first 6 months or so. I was just an intern on Broadway loadouts, and I did the loadout of Groundhog Day, A Doll's House Part 2, 1984, Cats, the Michael Moore show that he did in the Belasco. And then I walked into the office one day, and my boss was like, "Hey, Tor, how do you feel about our nation's capital?" And then he proceeded to tell me that I was going to go to DC to load out Mean Girls. That was it's doing its tryout in DC. So I went down there and loaded that out and manifested all the trucks. And I was the only person. I saw the closing performance in DC, loaded it out for the rest of the week, and then I was one of the few people who actually knew what was going on that show, and the only intern. So then I did Mean Girls Broadway as an intern.
So let me just pause for a second, because I want to get into all of that, because so many shows and so many fantastic shows you've been a part of. So what were some of your responsibilities as part of a loadout for those of us who have not taken part of it or don't know what's involved?
So as an intern, you are in charge of keeping track of any purchases that you make, as well as just like keeping track of payroll and just number tracking, so that because we have a budget and that we have to use the correct amount of money. Really, keeping track of budget, making sure that we're staying on track, but in a way that you're doing it for the production manager that you're working for. So as an intern, you don't have the responsibility of like making sure that we don't overspend. You're just keeping track of the spending.
So and a lot of it, know, hey, you're going to overspend.
Exactly. And then a lot of the internship is going to the hardware store. It's making sure that everyone has everything that they need, that, it's a lot of running around. One time I actually walked out of the sole of my shoe because I had been walking so much that the shoe just fell apart while I was walking. I was walking down Broadway, and I was walking towards Studio 54, and I walked straight out of the sole of my shoe, and I walked straight into the Skechers on Broadway. And I was like, "So sorry, I'm late. I needed to buy new shoes just now." So that was what I was doing as an intern. But so I did, and then
that brings pounding the pavement. That brings a whole new term.
Right, quite literally, yeah. And then so I did Mean Girls also as an intern, and you have a lot of the same responsibilities on a load out as you do on a load in. It's just, it lasts a lot longer. So load outs typically last from 1 to 3 weeks. A load in, building a show in a space from the ground up is generally, the building part happens well before you're in the theater, but building it inside of the theater is generally about a month, more sometimes like a month and a half to 2 months, depending on where you are. And then you get into tech, which is about 2 weeks, especially on a musical. You have a lot of tech, and then you start your previews. And when you're in previews, you're still in the theater every day. You have tech notes in the morning, and then you do rehearsals in the afternoon, and then the show at night. So I did Mean Girls, doing those crazy hours, and then I did The Boys in the Band as well as an intern, and then that was when my internship ended, and that was the summer. It was about June, I think, and then I did like June till November of that year, which was 2018. I did freelance here and there. I did a festival, some off-Broadway shows. I worked for a casting agent for a little bit. And then at the end of the summer, I got a text from someone asking if I can do Torch Song Broadway as an assistant production manager, which I did. And then almost immediately after Torch Song was when Aurora called me again, and they had asked if I can do a loadout. And I was like, sure, I will do a loadout. And so I did the loadout of Bernhardt Hamlet in the American Airlines. And then after that, they asked if I could do True West Broadway. And from then on, I was hired on full time, and I still work at Aurora full time, even through the pandemic. So with Aurora, so far, I've done 6 Broadway shows: True West, All My Sons, The Rose Tattoo, and A Soldier's Play, where my one's as a full-time employee, and then Mean Girls and Boys in the Band were my intern Broadway. And then I've done a bunch of off-Broadway too since starting, including Fleabag, which was great.
So what was your first opening night that you experienced?
My first opening night was, no, I don't remember. I don't remember which one it was. It was something in the fall of 2017.
Then your favorite opening night, if I could change it.
Okay, my favorite, one of my favorites was definitely Three Tall Women. We went to a hotel for the after party, a hotel downtown for the after party, and it was just a lot of fun. And like, I don't know, we had a great time. I brought my best friend from college with me, and we had a really good time that night. And also Mean Girls opening was so much fun. I brought Sebastian with me to that one, and that one was very exciting because it was all of the celebrities that I knew, because obviously Mean Girls is Tina Fey, and it had a lot of celebrities that are in the comedy world, and it's Jane Krakowski, and there was like the entire cast of SNL, and it was a lot of fun. And another part of it that was very fun was that I knew all of the people there, like all of the crew and everything. At that point, I knew everyone, so I was able to like socialize better than you normally do at a opening night party, because a lot of the time it's like a lot of people you don't know, and so you just get free booze and eat some really good food, and then you leave because you don't know anyone.
But I'm sure being in the theater and for an opening like Mean Girls, and have that sense of euphoria that you were there from the start of that, and seeing it put together from the moment that it moved into the theater to that opening night, and that it was going so strong up until the pandemic last March. That had to be quite a special moment for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was especially something like Mean Girls, where it was being developed as a show. I was sitting in the room while they would test out a line, and then it would be like, oh wait, no, I don't like that way that works. And then Tina Fey would like run over it with like a piece of paper and be like, try this instead. And it was a lot of that, and that you only get when the show is new. Something like the other shows that I've done True West, I've done All My Sons, and those are set in stone. You can do a little bit of your own take on it, but they are what they are. It's a show that everyone knows already, so you can only do so much in changing. But watching a show develop the way that I watched Mean Girls develop was, truly so special. And I've seen that happen a couple of times here and there. Mostly it happens with my off-Broadway shows, because generally those are going to be more in development than my Broadway, especially since I work mostly at the Roundabout, and a lot of their shows are revivals. So, yeah.
Before we get to, because I know you actually have a show that's about to start in a little bit, so we do need to let you go. Yeah. But favorite theater that you've worked in terms
favorite
of
theater.
The space?
Well, I work the most in the American Airlines, and I do really like that theater. And the guys that work in that theater are great. I really like the house guys are great. We watch Jeopardy at half hour. It's fantastic. Well, actually, we watch Jeopardy and then Wheel, and then after Wheel ends, then it's Places. So
oh yes.
yeah, and then so I really like working in that theater because I really like the people that work in the theater. But like as far as like you walk in and like you're like, wow, this theater is really pretty. I think the Golden is pretty. I've done a couple things in there. Yeah, the Golden's pretty, but it's
Wait, was
small.
Mean Girls at Kennedy Center, or it was in another?
Mean Girls was in the National in DC,
Okay.
and then it went to the August Wilson on 52nd Street.
So why don't you tell our audience what you're working on now? It sounds like a fascinating show that has been getting excellent reviews in the press recently.
Yeah, so currently I'm at Blindness, and as you can tell by my background, let me give you a better view. That's my command station. I'm actually running the show through Aurora. I'm running the show. So I get to hit go and everything. I call a couple of cues and I hit my bright green button and I run the show here. It's more of an experience than it is a show. It's all voice acting, and all of the members of the audience wear these big headphones, and you listen to the voice tell you a story. And it's Blindness, which is about an epidemic of blindness, which is hitting the nail on the head for the current state of the world. So it's an epidemic of blindness told from the perspective of the only person who can still see. So it's just, human nature and how things can go from bad to worse, and it gets pretty dark. The seating is all socially distanced, so you can come in pods of 2, and everything is 6 feet apart from any other person involved, and the rest of it is just lights around you, and there's like a LED tube sculpture essentially that hangs above you during the show, and it's all flashing lights and long periods of darkness, like complete can't see your hand in front of your face darkness. So it's kind of exciting and scary a little bit, but it's definitely an experience.
Just a slightly different from Mean Girls, ever so.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, definitely different from Mean Girls.
And this is 8 shows a week?
Oh, more than that. It is, the show itself is only an hour and 15 minutes long. So currently, for the past month, I've been doing 2 shows a day. So it's been 12 shows a week. But starting next week, we are doing 3 shows a day on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is 3 shows a week, and then Saturdays and Sundays will be 4 shows a week, 4 shows a day. So the turnaround time is very quick. We do a 3, a 5, and a 7, and then it will be a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7 on the weekends. And yeah, so we turn it around real quick. And
we keep them busy.
Yeah, oh, I'm certainly keeping busy. Thankfully, someone's going to tag team with me as we get into these crazy amount of shows, because I've been here by myself doing this. Well, not by myself. I have one other person who's on the crew with me. So it's just me and this one person on the crew together, and we bang out these shows.
Well, we'll put the website so that any folks that are interested can get tickets to come and see it. And
Blindness at the Darrell Roth Theater.
Before we let you go, 2 questions. Is there any advice that you could give to any of our high school students watching that may want to continue this in their career, and like you may have an inclination of being more backstage or behind the scenes than on the stage? And second question, which if you want to tie in, is there something that, although you seem to have done it all, is there something that you wish you knew back in high school, or that you would say what you would say to your high school self?
Well, I think the advice is definitely, whether you want to do tech or you want to be an actor or whatever you want to do, don't pigeonhole yourself. Find out everything that there is to know about theater. If you want to be in theater, you be well-rounded. I've worked with actors who have no idea what a light is, and I've worked with actors who can completely understand everything that you're saying to them when you're talking about, we're having an issue with this, and they can understand the time it takes to do things. And the other thing is, you never know where you're going to end up. So I genuinely thought that I was going to be a stage manager. It's what I went to college for. It's my degree. It's what I wanted to do. And then I got an internship at Aurora and then was hired by Aurora, and I've been production managing since then, which sounds like the same thing. It is a very, very different job. They are completely different. And I was given the opportunity to double major in stage management and production management when I was in college, and I didn't do it because I was thoroughly convinced I was never going to production manage. And hindsight's 2020, and here I am as a production manager who didn't double major. So don't pigeonhole yourself. Learn as much as you can. If there's a class of anything that you're interested in, take it, do it. Find out more about lighting, about sound, about props, literally anything. It'll be helpful in the end, no matter what. Just learning the rules, even, it's going to be immensely helpful. And then, what do I wish I knew when I was in high school? I wish that I knew that it was the good days. I wish that I knew how good it was going to be, that you could get to see your friends every day and hang out with your friends every day and do theater in a way that you'll never do it again. It's so different to do theater for no stakes. It's just something that is all warm and fuzzy. And as you get older and you work in professional theater, there's a lot of days that aren't warm and fuzzy. And a lot of days where you're not working with your friends and you're not having like laughs with your friends. This is now your job. So when it's not your job, take it in. It's awesome. It's so good when it's for fun. And it's magical back then, for sure.
And I had Joe O'Malley text me the other day, and he says after watching these, the sense of nostalgia that he gets, and I think that has been, that crew that from that 2011 to 2013 Minties, it was just the explosion of talent. We've had so many talented students, but that crew and so many of you, that started out and did all those shows together, now have gone off into all your different avenues, has been just absolutely tremendous to watch. And they've all said, what fantastic memories and just what great times we had on our high school stages.
Yeah, absolutely. We had the time of our lives, favela, that came from somewhere, it came from somewhere.
If you didn't get pulled into the whiz, what would you have done with your life? Do you ever think of that?
I do think of that. I don't know. I at the time I was thinking like maybe something with psychology. I don't know. Who knows? I think I don't know. I thank the heavens every day that there was that Sweet 16 that night, I think
it turned out much better, much better suited for you.
I would like to think so. My brother's a doctor, and I was like, Mom, it's theater for me. I'm sorry.
Well, you've certainly had just so much tremendous success so early on in your career, getting the experiences that you have gotten to do and will do in about another hour from now. So I thank you very much, Tor, for joining us. And again, congratulations. And I hope that there are folks watching tonight that don't think being on stage is for them and could maybe follow your career path to a successful backstage career. So I thank you, Tor, for joining us, and congratulations again. And I thank everyone else for joining us this evening and hope that you will be with us next Sunday night for an all new episode. But until then, everyone, as always, meet me at the Minties.
At the Minties.
There you go. Good night, everybody.